Good day everyone. Our topic for today is all about care and maintenance of tools and equipment. Let us start with hand tools. There are lots of hand tools used in carpentry. Some of these are hammer, screwdriver, level, etc. These hand tools help the carpenter do their work efficiently, therefore their quality and condition must be maintained. And here are some of the tips on how to take care of your tools. First one, clean, inspect, and care for tools. Now, why do we need to always inspect and clean our hand tools before and after using them? It is important to always inspect the tools for you to identify if your hand tools are in good shape or need to be replaced. Furthermore, their cleanliness must not be forgotten to avoid being exposed to some hazards like getting wood dust on your eyes. Next one, store tools properly. This is very important because not storing your tools properly might ruin your tools, especially if they will be exposed to water. Likewise, improper storing of tools can cause accident to the people in their vicinity. Now let's move on to the power tools. Some of the examples of power tools are electric drill and chainsaw. Power tools need routine maintenance like the hand tools because they are more susceptible to problem as they are mechanical. Therefore, accumulation of dust and dirt can cause them to malfunction. And here are some helpful tips on how to maintain the good condition of your power tools. First one, keep power tools clean. Like the hand tool, equipment should always be cleaned to avoid dust and debris to accumulate that might cause them to malfunction. Next, store power tools correctly. It is important to properly store your power tools to avoid being exposed to different elements that will ruin them. For example, if you accidentally put your power tools in a wet storage, they will surely become rusty, and that will reduce the efficacy of your power tools. Next is inspect for wear and damage. It is important to check regularly your power tools if they have damage because forgetting this might lead to serious injury or even death. Next is lubricate moving parts. What is the importance of this? This is being done to preserve the good condition of the power tools. If you will not do this, power tools might become rusty that can lead to malfunction. Last one, keep batteries in shape. It is very important to check the batteries of your power tools to avoid being interrupted in your work. Not doing this will give you trouble in your work because your tools will not function without batteries. Let us now discuss the common risks and hazards in the workplace area. Now, what is hazard? This is a situation of being injured or harmed in a workplace. Next, hazardous materials. This is any item or agent which has the potential to cause death, serious injury, and long-lasting health effects. And the next one, let us also define what workplace is. Of course, it refers to a particular venue of work such as office, premises, or work site where a worker is assigned. Let us now move on to the different types of hazard. First one, biological hazard. From its name itself, biological hazard refers to dangers that caused by living organisms, including viruses, bacteria, insects, animals, etc. that can cause adverse health impacts. Next is chemical hazard. All the hazardous substances that can cause harm. These hazards can result in both health and physical impacts such as skin irritation, problem in respiratory system, blindness, corrosion, and explosions. Next is physical hazard. Any environmental factors that can harm an employee without necessarily touching them, including heights, noise, radiation, and pressure. Next, we have ergonomic hazard. This type of hazard refers to physical factors that can result in having poor posture. Last one is the psychosocial. This includes those that can have an adverse effect on an employee's mental health or well-being. For example, sexual harassment, victimization, stress, and workplace violence. Now, let us study the common risks in carpentry. First is the use of various machinery and tools. Tools and machines, if not used appropriately or not checked regularly, can cause severe injury like accidental cutting of fingers or the worst case scenario, death. Next is exposure to loud noise from machinery and tools. This is an example of physical hazard. Though you cannot touch noise, it still can harm you because it can cause stress and headache. Next one, molds, fungi, and bacteria. Of course, these microorganisms are under biological hazard. Being exposed to them can cause different diseases. Next is chemicals, solvents, and other materials, dermatitis, allergic reactions, or respiratory problems. I know that this is a common knowledge to us that being exposed to chemical can cause injuries, irritations, diseases, and even death. Next is cancer risk from dust. It means that being regularly exposed to wood dust can cause respiratory problem that later on will lead to cancer. Next is flammable materials including wood dust. If you are not careful, these materials when exposed to fire can lead to destruction of the workplace and death of many people. The next is risk of pain or injury from working in an awkward positions, performing repetitive tasks or lifting. This is under ergonomic hazard wherein your posture is being affected. Next is the risk of entanglement of body parts into rotating parts or machinery. Like other problems when it comes to power tool, this can cause accident that will lead to severe injuries. Therefore, this must be put into consideration. Next is extreme temperatures when working outdoors. Being exposed to too much sunlight is extremely dangerous. There is a possibility of heat stroke or even having a skin cancer. Next is risk of eye injury from flying particles. This is one of the reasons why a carpenter must inspect power tools regularly to avert accident like this. Next, working at heights. Why is this dangerous? We all know that carpenters are known to work even in high places when constructing tall houses or buildings. And falling from high places can cause injuries or can even cause death. And next is stress. Stress is considered as a risk because it can weaken a person physically and emotionally. When a person is stressed, his or her immune system is weakened and that will lead to various diseases. And last one, shift work or extended work days. This is also considered as a risk as working too much can lead to sickness, especially if you are not having enough rest. Let us now move on to the safety rules every woodworker needs to know. Number 1. Always wear safety equipment. This is very important because safety equipment will protect you from dangers while you are working. Number 2. Wear the right clothes. The problem with wearing baggy or loose clothes is the very high chance that a part of them might get caught in a cutting head or saw blade. So to avoid this scenario, wear clothes appropriate to the woodworking environment but also protect you. Number 3, avoid using anything that can impair your reaction time and judgment. Like in driving, alcohol and drugs must not be included in woodworking because the danger is much higher. For example, due to alcohol you do not know that you are using the wrong tools. That might cause an accident that can lead to your demise. Number 4, disconnect power. It is extremely important for you to avoid accident because not disconnecting power when changing blade can lead to cutting your fingers or even hand. Likewise, not disconnecting can also start a fire. Therefore, never forget to disconnect power tools. Number 5, use a single extension. This will help you ensure that all the tools are turned off. Too many cords can get confusing and be a tripping hazard. Number 6, never use blunt blades and bits. Using blunt cutting blade is dangerous. Dull tools will need to be made to work harder to cut and as a result can bind or kick back. Next, number 7, check stock for existing metal. Before sawing through or making a cut, ensure that the piece of stock doesn't have existing nails, screws, or other pieces of metal because it can cause stock to kick back and cause injuries. Number 8. Work against the cutter. It is important because most power tools are built in a way that requires the direction that a piece of wood moves through the tool, and it is the opposite direction of the cutting head's movement. We need to consider this to avoid woods from being ruined and to avoid accidents like flying wood fragments. Number 9. Never reach over a running blade. It is extremely important to remove waste to avoid power tools from malfunctioning that can be deadly. But before doing it, make sure that the blade has stopped spinning because it can also put you in jeopardy. And then number 10, the last one, minimize distractions. Just like in driving, being distracted in woodworking can lead to accidents. Therefore, always finish everything before turning your attention to other things. And that's all for our lesson.